welcome to Level Up with CMJ. Hey, my name is Joe, and this is my Craftsmaster dice shooting journey. We're going to start off today with some dice manipulation drills. And just grab your dice out, make sure you practice along, and good morning, bam. So all we're going to do is just start twisting the dice around, go to the left, and all we're going to do is just get that blood flowing to the fingers, to the right. We're going to rotate it forward. And the reason this is important is so that way you can manipulate that dice with some fluency, with some speed, with some accuracy at the table. So now we'll rotate to the right, rotate to the left, and I'm just using 2 fingers here. You can also do 1 finger if you want with the thumb, or we could do thumb back. We can do thumb forward, thumb back, whichever works out best for you. Grab a couple dice, so let's grab about 6 dice. And we're just going to rotate to the 1, to the 2, to the 3, to the 4, 5, and 6. Mix them up and go through it again. So pick 1. Remember, opposites of the dice add up to 7. So again, just doing a little manipulation, get the finger or blood going to the fingers and that. I just want to make a quick announcement. I saw this morning that George from CY actually had an earthquake at his in his home country in Cyprus. It was registered at a 5.8. He said that everybody that he was associated with was safe and sound and everything was good to go. The building structure checked out and all that stuff. But just kind of, best wishes to everybody in Cyprus and George and all of his relatives and friends and coworkers. So let's move on. Let's go to our throwing down the table straight. Turn our laser level on, and all we're going to do is the barrel dice. We're going to go 5 to 10 right now, and just make sure you concentrate on your form. Use good form, good grip, proper setup. You're releasing it straight so the dice go straight down the table and they land square on the table. And let me switch views here so you guys can actually see what's going on. There we go. So we're gonna good grip, good stance, and make sure you're looking down the table. Practice your breathing, and you're releasing with the thumb, so the dice roll off the end of your fingers. Your thumb does not push it through. I saw my good friend Craig from Obey Craps practicing his throwing today, and one of the comments that he was making on his video was that the dice were splitting apart. And one of the problems that causes that, or one of the things that causes that, is that your thumb is actually pushing the dice when you release. So in other words, the thumb pushes and splits the dice apart. Another thing that could be causing that is it's not spinning fast enough. But when you do that, you got to be very careful. That was a little too far. You got to be really careful that you don't spin it too fast. But spinning them will help keep them together as well. So a couple things to think about when you're doing that is your thumb release and the spin or the backwards revolutions of the dice. So one more here. That was a little to the left. All of them went halfway decent except for that one right there. We'll go over to the regular dice. And all we're going to do again is just practice, get them to the end of the table. Let's go to the 5-4-5 hardway set. So we're practicing getting into a dice set. And try to get them down to the end of the table so they're tight together, they're square, they land square on the table, and they're in line with that laser level for now. Again, the green belt level we are focusing on target landing zone, which we'll do in a little bit with our drills. Morning, Mike. But the other thing that we're doing is we're practicing on our energy control of the dice here. And I have a drill. I had a drill that I was going to do today, and I decided not to because I practiced with it a little bit, and I was not totally comfortable with it. But that was a good throw, 5-5, hard 10. But I put a message out to Arnell, who made a comment in last week's streams about a exercise that I could possibly do, and I want to verify with him before we add it in. And it's a way to test to make sure that our energy level in the dice is minimal. So, another little announcement, guys. This is the 25th level up session, live session that I've done so far. So we've done it for 25 sessions so far, which I find to be quite amazing. And I hope that everybody is doing their training with me. I know that I'm starting to develop a regular following in the morning here. We have Mike that's showing up quite a bit. We have Bam that's showing up. We have Navaldo that's showing up. Chris from Dice Dejan shows up. Arnell shows up. So quite a few regular people. For a while, Victor was showing up. And it's really, really super nice to be seeing you guys showing up on a regular basis. Again, it does not matter if you're a beginner at throwing a dice or if you're an advanced person. Daily practice will help you. Will help you become more consistent. It'll help you with your throwing results. So let's go one more here. And dice out. Good. Okay, now today's session we're going to be working on throwing height. And instead of doing the throwing tool that we made, we're just going to put a board out. And this is a technique that a lot of people use. I know that Ed from Roll the Wind used this with Chris from Sideshow Gamble when he was teaching his live shooting session with him. And, you know, if you didn't make the tool, remember the height tool is the one that we had set up in the mid part of the table here with the string. I believe it was at 58 inches from the ground. You can also use a stick. This is a 1x2. You can use a broom handle. You can use whatever you want. And you're going to put it towards the end of your table here so that when it comes down, it's about a 45-degree angle, and your dice are going to land somewhere in that 6-inch range from the end of the table. So again, we're just looking for practicing our height training. And let's go with the barrel dice again quick. And focus when you're doing this now on releasing the dice so they're square in the air. They're square to that back line, back wall of the table when you release them. So do about 5 or so with the barrel dice here. That one was really good. Landed perfect as far as hitting the back wall. It did not bounce up very far. The energy was taken right out of the dice. Down was a little bit too far. But when you're using this board, you want to try to get it so it just clears. My table is kind of funky here, where it's hard for me to get the stick. If I had a preference, I would probably put it another 6 inches closer to the wall. But the way my table is designed, I cannot get it to do that decent. Really good. Go one more and we'll go to the regular dice. So we're going to finish this week out with the level up sessions at the Greenbelt. We have one more week with the green belt. And we're going to be moving on to the blue belt, which I'm kind of excited because we're going to start tracking our rolls then. Go back to the hard way set, the 5-4-5-4 base set. And kind of excited. So that way we can go and start documenting our results, and we can start analyzing our throws and try to get more consistency and try to work on the accuracy of everything and the results of everything. One of the biggest things with dice influencing, as far as the critics go, is they say you can't do it. And I want to either prove or disprove those statements. And, I look at it as the more you practice, the more comfortable you're going to be with throwing. And the more comfortable you are at anything. That one was perfect, good example because I did not hit. It went just right over the top. One of them made it, one did not, and it bounced back. So that means that was a pretty decent height there. But one of the things with throwing the dice is, and doing anything for that matter, is the more comfortable you get with something, the better you're going to be at it. Dice influence is not trying to influence a certain number to come up. It could be, but it is usually not. What we're trying to do is we're trying to reduce the amount of the most common number, which would be the 7. But we're also trying to increase the number of times a number that you're betting rolls. So, in other words, most people play the light side. So you're trying to get more box numbers to show when you're throwing the dice. And if you can get that to happen a few more times every throw, obviously it's going to be to your advantage. You're going to be making more money. You're going to be more successful at the craps table. So we'll go one more here. Dice were not square. So again, if the dice are not set the way you want them, make sure you set them back down, reposition, and then go back into it again. So we'll take the tool off. And let's get our target out. We're going to go to the 6-inch target, the one that we started with last week. And then once we get a few tosses down with them, we feel comfortable with this, we'll go to the 4.5-inch target. Again, it's going to be center on that laser beam, and it's about 1.5 inches from the back wall. Remember, that target is 6 inches around. So if you can hit on that target, that means you can be landing within 6 inches of that back wall, which is commonly accepted as the landing zone area. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's what it's going to be. One of the things that people ask is, where should your landing zone be? And like I said, it's kind of commonly accepted that it's around that 6-inch mark, but it's going to be different for everybody. It's going to be different according to the table that you're on and according to the style of throw that you have. I know that Cashier's Cage talks about his landing zone, and his landing zone, I believe, is somewhere around in this area here, which if you look at the table, that's about 1 foot to 1.5 feet away from the back wall. And that's just where he lands because of the velocity of his dice, because of the style of his throw. Using the par grip or the Yuri grip like I do, we're going to try to get that landing zone to be closer to the back wall. In my opinion, that 6 inches would bring you right about here on my target. So it's right towards the end of the target. I like to get it even further in, closer to the wall, because if I can bring it in with minimal energy in that dice, they're not going to bounce up very high in that back wall, and they're not going to be throwing around once they come off the back wall. So focus on your grip, focus on the energy in the dice, focus on your breathing. Make sure you have that right foot back stance. You're up, braced up tight against the table. And that was off to the right a little bit. And that one hit the mixing bowl, so it did throw the dice around. For those of you who just joined in, I announced a little bit earlier that George from CY had an earthquake at his home today. I think he was actually at work. And he said it registered at a 5.8. He said that he's all right. His place of business is all right. So everything seems to be all right for him. But I wish everybody the best. Anybody that did not come out of it good. He said he was in his chair. That was a little low. He said he was in his chair and it turned left and then it turned right and he thought, who's screwing with this chair? And I told him that I thought the same every time my dice did not do what's going on. Who's screwing with the dice? So, a little dad humor, I guess. A little bit long. I like the height of that throw. 314 Big Joe. I like the height of that throw, but it was a little bit long. Good morning, Victor. Also, if you did not see yesterday's episode with Level Up with me, I announced that I'm actually going to be joining the international dice shooting competition that George is putting on. If you've been following anything with it, you will know that George from CY is putting on a dice shooting tournament. And right now they're in the beginning stages. It actually starts February 4th. And it goes the week of the February 4th of 2023 here. And the first round is going to be the elimination round. So they're going to try to find the top 32 shooters of all the people that are entering. And what you do is, if you're interested, go onto the Craps Nation Skype group and DM George and get your name on the list. And then you'll be able to shoot. You go 3 shooters worth the first round, and they'll take the best score out of those 3 shooters. So I know that I forget who did it already, but the first shooter already went, and they got a 22 roller. Was their best shot, and anyhow, what you do is you sign up to throw in front, and it'll be a live throw in front of one of, I think there's about 10 different judges out there that you could choose from. Everybody from George from CY, John from Pro Crabs. I know that I'm drawing some blanks here. Mid-Atlantic Craps is going to be judging. Brian from Hawaii Crap Shows will be another judge. Dave Carlin from Same Bet will be a judge. Jeff from Mid-Atlantic Craps. A brain fart on that one. I don't know why. So, a bunch of different judges. You meet or set a time and a date with them, and then you'll be going through and you do your first round. And hopefully, I'll make the first 32. Let's change targets here. We're going to the 4.5-inch target. Again, it's halfway or lined up center with that laser beam there. So I'm going to probably be doing a couple throwing sessions here that are not my normal level up sessions. And I'll be kind of practice sessions for the shooting competition. Hopefully I do well. Like I said, we're in training here, so I think it's anybody's game, anybody's chance, anybody's thing to win. They're also encouraging random rollers to enter to see what happens. See if they can pull it off. And I believe the top prize is a $200 reward. That was a good throw. Is a $200 reward. And I will be donating that. I know that they're asking people that if they don't want to win the prize, if they want to donate it, to donate to the American Red Cross. And I haven't decided if I'm going to do the American Red Cross if should I win, or if I'm going to do that was a really good throw, or if I'm going to do the Craps for a Cure, which is John's event, which will be coming up this next year. But again, wishful thinking. You never know. There's a lot of very good shooters out there. But I think it's anybody's thing to win right now. Went to the right. Good result though, hard 10. Means they stayed on axis. We are doing a 5-4-5-4 hardway set. So, in the comments here, guys, are the chats 426 on axis. In the chats here, guys, leave comments about different things. Good morning, Navaldo. Leave comments about different drills, different things that you do to practice. Things that either I'm doing or things that I'm not doing that you'd like to see added to the program here. Remember that each belt level focuses on a different, one or two different functions or skill sets. Again, the green belt here, we're working on energy levels in the dice. We're also looking at working on landing zones. But let me know what's out there. Let me know what you do. Let me know what works. Even let me know that was a really good throw. You can also let me know 5-3 single pitch. You can also let me know what you've done that has not worked. Again, this is a journey for all of us. And if we can all work together, we will hopefully have better results, better throwing techniques. I went off to the right a little bit. 2-1-3 shocker. The other thing I want to do with the program here is, especially for the level up sessions, not so much the belt program itself, but the level up sessions, I want to start getting a little bit more variety in the show here. I want to make it so it is challenging for our practice sessions, but it's also a little bit more entertaining, a little bit more random, if you will. So that way we can do different things, but we'll get the people coming back and make this more interesting for them. In my opinion, the better people can become at shooting the dice. I was a little bit low, landed a little early, another 3-1-4. The more people can get to shoot better at the craps table, the better it's going to be for everybody, except for the casino, hopefully. So something to consider, but make sure you share your techniques in there in the comments. A little bit low again, but the landing was not too bad. 5-3-8. So let's go through a couple more before we wrap it up here today. Again, using that hardway set. Focus on releasing with that thumb. Another 3-1-4. That's a hot number today, 3-1-4. So that means that one of my dice is either imploding or exploding. And the other one is single pitching. But it's consistent. So if you see that coming up on a consistent basis, something you might want to do with your betting. You might want to adjust your betting so that way you're betting that 4 or whatever number is hitting. That was a 6-3. And that's stuff that we're going to be getting into also in later belt levels, how to manipulate or change your strategy around according to how the dice are rolling for you. That was terrible. That was way short. That was landed right about here, probably 2 feet away from the target. And the reason that happened is they slipped out of my hand when I threw. So in other words, they released out of my hand too early. And that's something that as you start throwing more, you start feeling those things. You can start picking those things out. That one was good distance-wise. And we came up with a 4.37 on that. That means that was a double pitch, which is one of the things for a hardway set that does happen. As long as it's not a 6-1, I'm fine with it. A little bit low, but again, another 4.37. Double pitch. So my lower ones are getting that number to come up. So you need to bring that height up a little bit. And again, the energy level in the dice is the important thing. And we can adjust that. Somehow I brought my target with me. That threw my dice off big time. We can adjust the energy level in the dice a couple of different ways. One way is by throwing it at a certain height level. Another way that we can adjust the energy in the dice is by the velocity or the speed of the dice as we throw them on a table. So we can regulate the speed by the swing of our arm here. You can also, and this is not one thing I would recommend, but you can also regulate the speed by the spin or the flick of the wrist. So for example, if you flick the wrist, which is what I do not recommend, but if you flick that wrist, you can also get it down the table faster that way. So that was what you don't want to do, and I just showed that so you don't do it. But anyhow, last throw here, guys, and then we're going to go through homework corner and we'll wrap things up for the day. Make sure that you do get your dice out for the day. You do get your practice in. And we ended up with the boxcars. So we had an implosion and an explosion on the last dice here. So let's go to homework corner here, guys. So what we're going to do for today's level up session, make sure you do your warm-ups and your stretches. And then you're going to go through and you're going to do just some simple dice manipulation drills. Just get your fingers working, get the blood flowing, get your brain and your hand-eye coordination working, and everything jiving up good that way. Then we're going to go get the laser light going and the laser level. And you're going to use your barrel dice. You're going to throw it on the table 5 to 10 times. And just try to get it straight in line with that laser level so it lands somewhere near the back wall. We'll switch over to our hardware set then with our regular dice. Again, 5 to 10 throws there. And again, same thing. Just get it towards the end of the table somewhere in line with the laser level. Trying to get them to land flat on the table, keeping them landing or flying square and true and close together through the air. After that, we'll bring out our stick or throwing tool, height tool, whatever you want to use, and throw 5 or 10 times with the barrel dice over that, 5 to 10 times with your regular dice. And then we're going to do our landing zone training. So then we're going to get our target out and we'll do our throwing with the regular dice into the 6-inch target to start off with, and then our 4.5-inch target after that. But hey guys, thanks for joining along with me. My name is Joe, and this is my Craftsmaster Dice Shooting Journey. Let's make it yours too.